What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. Give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what really moved it, and what shorts did today. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did go down 0.25% today. Nothing really crazy, but it did have a nice push first thing to $16.48. A couple different attributing factors to that. One is just Trump. So basically he did ring, I believe it was the New York Stock Exchange, and he said that we're going to go much higher. Generally, that's like FOMO in a bottle right there. So that's always a good thing. And then aside from that, specific to SoFi, they did put out this news. So Mesh Payments teams up with SoFi Bank and Galileo to drive innovation in travel and expense management. So overall, I think very good stuff, especially for both entities, so Mesh as well as SoFi, and I guess Galileo as well. So that's basically what really drove it higher. So I'm going to go over some of the other transactions, but the only thing that really did come out associated to SoFi was there was this, a 144 that did come out at 11.17, and that was this right here. So a director did sell 52,000 shares, was done today, and it wasn't for tax purposes, so no indication of that down here. So it is what it is. Obviously there's going to be a certain level of profit taking, and this is how essentially these individuals do get paid. So it is, yeah, whatever. I don't feel that it really influenced the price all that much. And I can't remember, I know there's one individual going through a divorce. I don't know if that's this individual or not. So if it is, let me know in the comments below. But like I said, I don't really think that there's all that much to this to really worry about. Aside from that though, shorts. So this is the very first time in almost a good about 2 weeks that shorts did increase. So today they increased to 511,000 shares. 12.52% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 133.37 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost of our average is 0.42. You see this back to being negative. So yesterday they did take a break. Whatever broker was out there that's always paying people, they kind of stopped it yesterday, but back at it, as you can kind of see. Not really working all that well, especially with it at 12.52. Still, as I've stated, I feel like between 10 to 11% is realistic where it might kind of peak as far as the bottom, but utilization 17.69, and then through IBKR does indicate there's more than around 10 million shares available to be shorted. So I generally like to look at this information right here, because if shorts really did feel that SoFi was kind of just overvalued and whatever else, there's a lot of ammunition for them to really double down, and it's cheap to short SoFi on a side note. So even if you are paying the 0.26, which is more on the high end, it's still nothing really crazy. Moving over to options, 27 million in calls, 4.86 million in puts. 47% of all the options being done were optimistic in nature. As far as the overall dollar value, kind of in line with what it has been, so nothing really crazy for that. So today there was 31 million in total premiums, yesterday 34, 30, so nothing really crazy to really analyze. Volatility is very, very low, so as I've stated, if you are bullish on SoFi, it might be a good time to potentially look at buying calls. Is because again, volatility is very low, so it's kind of cheap to do so. So something to keep in mind. But of the call options that were purchased today, you see still a consensus for it to be above $17.50 for this week, and then $17 for next week. So continued good momentum for that. Nothing really abnormal about anything aside from just the short-term stuff. The bears though are anticipating for it to be sub roughly $15 by this week, so kind of a opposite spectrum. One thing that I did do today was I did sell a 1550 put. So in case you guys don't know, as I've shared with you, if it does go below 1550 by this Friday, I get to buy some more shares. If it stays above it, I get to keep the premium. So I really recommend a lot of individuals do that on stocks that they wouldn't mind buying anyways, or just generally stocks that you do like. So kind of just research that in take some time and do all the fun jazz that you need to. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So a lot of string of buying first thing. So that's ultimately what really drove it higher. You had these entities that kind of pushed it to that high of 1647. And yeah, honestly, a lot of big buys. Nothing really selling on the secondary market. So what really did drive it lower was just shorts as well as algorithmic trading, because shorts do play a very big part, because even if you add all of these kind of shares together, like if shorts are increasing and kind of doing their thing with, like, let's say 4 or 5 million shares, that already pretty much surpasses everything here. So definitely something to keep in mind. But with it closing at $15.90, currently trading between this R1 and the pivot, so 1583 going into the next couple of trading days, or I guess tomorrow's Friday, but is going to be 1583 will be the strong support that you want to watch for it to hold. It was a little bit lower than that. Luckily enough, it did bounce off of that general area, kind of testing it after hours. But $16.50 on the flip side is going to be the next strong resistance, and similarly, that is strong resistance as well. And yeah, last 2 days, so on Wednesday as well as Tuesday, this S1 was touched, so 1515, so we also know that's a very strong support. So honestly, it's going to come down to the technicals over the next couple trading days, and as of right now, things are still looking somewhat good on a side note. So it is above the ALMA, still above all the key data points that I like to look at. With the recent consolidation as well, it is rather oversold. So again, if you have a potential good catalyst coming out on a macro standpoint, SoFi is going to really stand to benefit, probably a little bit more than a lot of other growth stocks. But like I've been stating, like SoFi's technicals look very, very good, and it doesn't really show any signs of slowing down whatsoever. So honestly, yeah, it's a good time to really get in. This is why I'm willing to buy some more at 1550, despite it being fairly high. So let me know your thoughts on that. On the side note, no new analyst ratings, as you can kind of see. So last one was done 3 days ago, so nothing really crazy for that. Morningstar report still does show $14 as a fair value, so just wanted to bring that up. And even though I know it might be a little bit premature to start talking on Q4, you do see some analysts starting to adjust their estimates, so earnings per share, revenue, and stuff like that. Of course, closer to that date, I'll go over some definitive stuff, but you are seeing a lot more analysts become a little bit more optimistic and changing their estimates, so I see that as relatively good stuff. So what's your thoughts on shorts being kind of increasing the first time in almost like 2 weeks, give or take? Do you think that's more of a precursor for something to come, or do you think that this is just more of a one-off? And actually going back over here, so with tomorrow being Friday, looking at the open interest for the calls, this is something to kind of keep in mind. So $17, $16.50, and then 16. They have some pretty heavy amounts essentially. So you have 19,000 at that 6, 16,000 at 650, and then 20,000 at 17. So if shorts are going to be fairly active, they might try to suppress it below 16.50 or $16. Again, we've already seen a lot of manipulation happen in the past. And one thing to note is just looking at the open interest for January 17th, 2025 at the $15 strike price, there's 116,000. So if shorts are going to be trying to suppress it, I feel like it would be during that one, most likely. But what do I know? I'm not a financial advisor. You do whatever floats your boat. Let me know your thoughts. Give yourself a shout out if you bought SoFi, if you sold, and where you see things going. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon, link in the description below and also the comments. I give buy signals on stocks, options, and crypto. Many of them have been absolute bangers, so pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.